9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Can't no man knock me out. I'm tired of being humble. I'm tired of letting people think they got a chance. The tribal chief is head and shoulders above everybody. This is my show. This is my camera. I run it all.
Clearly, we know who runs it all. Welcome back to Women's Wrestling Talk, and this is our Honey Night Smackdown post show. We're going to go through a quick run through of the events that transpired tonight for our Honey Night Smackdown watch along. If you had just joined me there, you know my name, you see my face every Friday here, and let's just get right into everything. We started off the show tonight with Solo Sikoa demanding the terms of surrender to Roman Reigns. We know that we left off SmackDown last week pretty much with Roman Reigns trying to make a call to the wise man, and he was unable to reach him, which had us all a little bit in a panic. And we were quite concerned with the locale of the wise man, but we will get into that later. Going forward, after Solo Sikoa has recently employed Bronson Reed. Now they're in full effect for war games and they're ready for war. And they were pretty much making note of the fact that Roman Reigns and the OG bloodline does not have a fifth man. We then proceeded on to women's triple threat action for a shot at being the first crowned women's U.S. title champion. And the triple threat match consisted of Blair Davenport, the EST, and one half of the tag team champions, Bianca Belair and Chelsea Green. Due to the fact that there was a very big distraction for the EST, she was then compelled to leave the match because she had seen on the Titantron that something had happened to Jade Cargill. Jumped Jade Cargill backstage and left her pretty much laid out on a broken SUV, broken glass. Did not look in good shape at all. Hopefully Jade Cargill is well and is doing okay. Bianca proceeded to leave the match, which left Blair Davenport and Chelsea in the ring, and Chelsea was able to get away with the win. So she advances to the semifinals to go against Bayley for a shot at becoming the United States Women's Champion. And let's see. So we have also LA Knight versus Santos Escobar for the U.S. title on the line. We know that there had been some back and forth between Legado de Fantasma and the Megastar for the last couple of weeks. And also, it seems that the Megastar has an even bigger target on his back because Shinsuke Nakamura has been lurking as well. He did cause a slight distraction from the entranceway. He did not strike the Megastar until the match was over and LA Knight retained the title. He didn't even give him room for a celebration. But LA Knight did defeat Santos Escobar in a really good one-on-one match. We had the face-off, a very strong, passionate face-off between Cody and Kevin Owens. There is definitely big debate where we discussed on the on the Honey Night Smackdown watch along and the WWT Live, where we can kind of say that Kevin Owens is kind of right, and there was a lot of facts being spilt. It was a pretty interesting and very intriguing promo. Kept me locked in, kept me invested, very passionate. The guys had very strong words for each other. You know, there's a lot of history there between them, so it's just gonna be nuts when they go one-on-one finally. We also saw that we had a women's tag team match. Also, and before we got to that women's match, Naomi was with Bianca Belair, and they were placing Jade Cargill in the ambulance. Naomi was very distraught. Bianca very distraught, rightfully so. That's her partner, and they've created such history and great moments together this year. So this is kind of unnerving to see. And Bayley offered help, or asked if there was anything she could do. Bianca didn't want any parts of it because we know the history there. So there's still some trust that needs to be built and worked on there. But nonetheless, Naomi and Bayley went on to go against Candice LeRae and Tiffany Stratton, the Miss Money in the Bank holder, and as well as they're calling them the Queen's Court. The Queen was at ringside viewing the match until she then caused a disqualification by attacking Naomi. So therefore, Bailey and Naomi won by DQ, and it then proceeded to they then proceeded to have Io Sky come down to the ring, Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan, and pretty much Rhea Ripley capitalizing on it all at the end with a kendo stick and promoting that strong War Games vibe, you know. So that's still on and popping, and it's going to be pretty crazy by the time we get to War Games. We also saw Tommaso Ciampa, after he costed the Street Profits the match last week. They had some words for each other backstage. Well, Johnny Gargano was speaking to Motor City Machine Guns about giving an opportunity to Ciampa and Johnny for a rematch and a shot at the title, but they said they feel like Street Profits deserves it. Not so much in agreement, but Dawkins was pretty hell-bent on telling Johnny that you need to remember that your friend is bad news and nothing good comes out of that with him. So Montez Ford went one-on-one with Ciampa tonight as the final match for the evening, which was a really good one-on-one. Montez Ford was able to get the pin on Ciampa, and which pretty much left more tension between Johnny Gargano and Ciampa and the Motor City Machine Guns as well. And it seems like there's definitely a sever in the friendship of DIY. So that is something that we definitely need to take a look at. We had the OG bloodline pretty much in a couple of segments and, you know, trying to discuss what their plan is. Then Roman honestly didn't even have a plan, but you know, like all good things bloodline, they keep you intrigued with telling the story. We then go to Solo Sikoa coming out with the Temu bloodline, and then of course the OG bloodline with Roman Reigns. And Solo did admit, saying to Roman and his family, he says, I still love you guys. I still love all of you. I want you guys to join me. Well, not really the case. Just before Roman can even say anything and give the terms of surrender, which I don't think he was going to give anyway, a familiar voice comes on over the speakers and it says, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. And boy, was that something to relish in. That was very exciting. So happy and so glad to see the wise man back. I thought it was very intriguing, his choice of attire, being that he's usually wearing a blue suit with a red tie or whatnot. Very, you know, like it was very sophisticated brown shoe kind of guy. But he actually showed up all black and red, like straight up bloodline attire. No tie, nothing formal, blazer, red shirt, black, all black. I was very intrigued to see and very interested in that little detail there. That's something that definitely won't leave my mind. But nevertheless, where Roman Reigns didn't have a plan, there's always a plan B. And that plan B was made by the wise man. And it will not be 4-on-5 at War Games. It will be 5-on-5. And when he said 5-on-5, I honestly thought Brock Lesnar. I literally thought Brock Lesnar. I literally thought that his music was going to hit, because when I hear 5, I think F5. You know what I mean? So that's exactly where my head was going. But that was a crazy ending, because it wasn't Seth. It wasn't Brock. It wasn't even Dwayne Johnson. It was Mr. CM Punk. That's right. CM Punk and the wise man. the Paul Heyman has called upon CM Punk, his former client, to now help his tribal chief. I think that's absolutely bananas. I don't even know when the last time we saw Roman Reigns and CM Punk in the same ring. Like, I believe Roman was part of the Shield, but when we saw the last time we saw them in the ring together, I don't even know, but that was quite a sight to see. And then the Temu bloodline tried to attack. CM Punk came on out, and they pretty much got the one up on all 5 of the Temu bloodline. And we had a spear combo with Go to Sleep done at the same time from Tama Tonga and Tongaloa to Tongaloa and Tama Tonga, excuse me. And the face-off was quite exceptional. That is something you want to talk about, things you never thought would happen actually happen. And we had this discussion on the Smackdown watch along, but we were talking about things that we never thought we'd see. Like, we never thought we'd see Sting show up at Survivor Series. We never thought we'd see CM Punk return after 7 years. We never thought that we would see CM Punk. And we never thought we'd see Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar team up, okay? Because that almost happened. But we never thought we would see CM Punk aligning himself with the bloodline, with Roman, Jay, Jimmy, and Sami Zayn. I think that speaks volumes. And I think the smile on the wise man's face at the end said it all. Like, I've done my job. I'm good at my job. Paul Heyman, you are a national treasure, my dear sir. You Hall of Famer, you know how to write and tell a good story. And man, this isn't even the good part yet. This isn't even the good part yet, because now that the odds are even, what does that boat? How does Seth feel about that? First of all, because CM Punk and Seth have history, and CM Punk also, Seth has had a rivalry with Bronson Reed recently. So it's like, I'm still keeping my eye on the situation, y'all. I have to keep my eye on the situation, because you just gotta make sure. I just want to make sure that this is going to be something that's actually going to happen. Like, we're actually going to see CM Punk and Roman Reigns coming out at War Games. And mind you, this is also the anniversary of when CM Punk returned last year, the classic return at the very, very end of the show, which was bonkers. I feel like all of this War Games is going to lead to another pop-up by Dwayne Johnson. Now that CM Punk has aligned himself, and we know it wasn't Brock, or even Seth, I feel like this would make it so much more interesting now that it's CM Punk. And people are still forgetting about the fact that we saw Dwayne at Bad Blood. He popped up at Bad Blood. He will pop up again at Survivor Series. And it's a PLE that he knows very, very well. But that's just my guess. And we are going to get into all of our predictions next week, because it is the week for War Games. This weekend, we got Full Gear for AEW. And we got the go home shows coming up for War Games week. It's also Thanksgiving week. There's a lot going on this weekend, this whole week. It's going to be pretty crazy. So make sure you guys stay tuned to Women's Wrestling Talk on WWT Live Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, depending on where you're at. So make sure you guys check that out. You guys can always find me here Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays on those dates at those times. And of course, on Friday, every Friday, 8 o'clock, we have our Honey Night Smackdown watch along. And please, please don't forget to follow all my colleagues here at WWT Live. I appreciate them and love them so much. So shout outs to you guys. Shout outs to all of you guys in the chat. Shout outs to you guys that joined us for the watch along and joined here in the chat. Obviously, everybody was pretty much flabbergasted and shocked. Whether you liked it or not, listen, they did the job and they're going to keep us talking. Yeah, so it was a very good night. Boza, Bobby, Dad, Pachu, everybody who always joins us, Eric, Chris Leclerc, Vikings fan, shout outs to you, Joe, Dave. Appreciate all of your energy, guys. Cindy'll as well. And yeah, this was so much fun. I just wanted to make sure I got through a quick post show for you, just to recap the evening. And I can't wait to see what WWE has next in store for us going into this new year, going into the Netflix year, the Netflix era. It's going to be quite interesting. Shout outs to the whole WWT crew. And don't forget to check wwtalkpod.com for all things women's wrestling talk, as far as our merch and all the cool things we got going on our site, interviews coming up, and all kinds of content from our co-analysts and co-panelists as well. I appreciate you guys. Follow me on all things Instagram, Facebook, Wrestling W Honey, as well as like and subscribe the Wrestling with Honey podcast. New year, new things. You never know when that Wrestling with Honey podcast will be buzzing on your screen. So make sure you stay tuned with all things Wrestling with Honey to keep you posted on all things with that. Shout outs to our sponsors at All Caribbean Wrestling. Of course, check out all of their things that they got going on with all their social spaces on All Caribbean Wrestling. And man, this was quite fun. This was a fun night. This is a fun night that leaves you talking all weekend. And it kind of reminds you of when you would go to school on a Tuesday morning, be like, yo, did you see wrestling last night? Like it's quite good. So I can't wait for Monday already. Got a lot going on for that. So make sure you guys stay tuned for Monday Night Mayor. Make sure you guys stay tuned for Tuesday Night Pharaoh, Wednesday night Courtney, Friday night Honey Night Smackdown watch along. So make sure you guys follow my peeps, and make sure you guys have a safe weekend. And depending on where you're at, I mean, I'm over here in the tri-state. It's wet and cold and nasty, so stay warm. Wherever else you are, please stay safe, and please don't forget to always acknowledge your tribal chief. I am your hostess, Wrestling with Honey, the sweetest ooze, queen of the honey pot predictions, and co-analyst here on Women's Wrestling Talk. And this was our Honey Night Smackdown post show as part of Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Shout outs.